For personal development, leading and managing section of Informed Eyes Weekly Business Insights for the week 4/11, July 25 to 31, 2025, we curated and summarized articles from two business magazines. The first article from Harvard Business Review shares life work and interview with Jacinda Ardern. The second article from Forbes magazine explains 5 leadership moves that actually work in 2025 to address disengaged and drained issues. First, from Harvard Business Review.
Life's Work, an interview with Jacinda Ardern, written by Alyssa Beard, published by Harvard Business Review magazine in its July to August 2025 issue. The daughter of a policeman, Ardern grew up interested in public service but worried about the blood sport of New Zealand politics. Eventually, though, she found the courage to run for parliament, party leadership, and finally Prime Minister. From 2017 to 2023, she led her country's response to crises including a bovine disease outbreak, a mass shooting, floods, wildfires, and COVID-19. Her new memoir is A Different Kind of Power. The following are the excerpts from her interview with Allison. You faced so many crises during your time as Prime Minister. How did the early ones prepare you for the COVID-19 pandemic? If we chose a path no one else was traveling and we failed, we would simply end up in the place that many others were in, and that could be the path of least regret. When you're in uncertain, low information situations, how do you think through and decide on a course of action? If there wasn't one obvious conclusion, the approach was to share openly not just what we had decided, but also the choices we had had so that people could see why we landed where we did. Politicians face constant criticism, especially in crisis. How did you develop a thick skin? Criticism, or a feedback loop, can drive us to re-examine decisions and work harder on issues. At the same time, you can filter out the things that might be just political or personal insult by asking, what's the motivation of the person pitching that forward right now? You became a symbol of empathetic leadership after the Christchurch shooting, in which a gunman killed 51 people at a mosque. After all, you got gun control legislation passed in 27 days. How did you marshal support and mobilize action so quickly? Yes, we led the charge, but we were simply channeling the sentiment in New Zealand at that time. As all these crises hit, how did you make sure to manage and protect your time to ensure that you were also tackling the key policy issues that you had campaigned on? Even if you don't have these singular, significant, large-scale events, there are micro versions of them happening behind the scenes all the time. Time management and making sure that you're continuing with an agenda despite what's happening day to day is critical. How did you avoid burnout? Maintaining stamina during 5 years of back-to-back crises was difficult. Thankfully, my team was very careful to maintain small portions of time for me to have with my family, particularly my young daughter. Those connection points gave me a layer of extra resilience. Did you sleep? I tried to get at least 8 hours of sleep a night. I failed miserably most of the time, but I really did try. You were working so hard during this period and getting only 90 minutes a day with your toddler. How did you feel about that balance? Was there mom guilt? Yeah. I think that when you're handed a child in the hospital, you're also handed a big old jar of guilt. It's part of the package. I was running our country and I still felt it. But I tried to instead think about regret. If I divided my time or prioritized differently, what would I regret? I knew I was missing things and I felt sad. Are there any overarching leadership lessons that you took away from all your crisis management experiences? We have this notion that confidence in leadership comes through having all the answers all the time. We are trusted because we show no shred of doubt. But I think in any crisis, trust is built by being open about information and knowledge gaps. COVID was an obvious example. The whole world was grappling with this new illness, and if we had all known what to do, we all would have had the same plan, I imagine. But sharing with people everything we knew and everything we didn't became a tool to build trust and confidence. I think leaders should be transparent in those moments. How did you approach political negotiations when you and your counterparts were in deep disagreement or had differing needs? What comes to mind is trying to work through difficult climate change policy challenges. A starting point was just understanding the history of the debate and realizing when you were engaging with people who resented being blamed. And yet, it was in everyone's interest to find solutions. If we agree on that, what do we do next? And then we have the ability to work through challenges together. How did you negotiate with foreign leaders on contentious issues like climate policy? I always found that understanding the person across the table, how they would be thinking, what they needed, what they were looking for, was the best way to prepare. What advice do you have for companies on how to handle political uncertainty? One of the things I heard the most from business leaders during my time in office was how much they valued certainty. Often that conversation would be focused on environmental regulation. And my message was, when political parties are taking different positions, you should operate at the highest bar you can anticipate being set. Then, whether the expectations lower or someone raises the bar, you are insulated. Some might say there is an economic cost to that, but variability or uncertainty in the way that you're operating can be costly as well. You pushed New Zealand to start measuring well-being, not just gross domestic product. Why? This was an area in trust for me and has been for many politicians through the ages, including the United States, who have often remarked that GDP measures everything except that which we value in life. I credit our then Minister of Finance, Grant Robertson, for implementing our well-being budget. Let's talk a little about how you came to manage all these crises as a leader of New Zealand. In your book, you say that growing up in a struggling forestry community was what initially got you interested in politics. Why? To be clear, I was young, but when you observe with the eyes of a child, you ask questions like, why doesn't that person have a home? And as you get older and dig deeper, you find yourself acknowledging that something is very broken. In the 1980s, I lived in a place that really bore the brunt of New Zealand's economic reforms. I didn't understand the bigger picture. All I knew was that I saw kids at school who didn't have food to eat or shoes for the winter, and that didn't feel right to me. So that contributed to the way I saw the world and my motivation to go into politics. How did you develop your own leadership style? I wouldn't call it a leadership style because I didn't necessarily see myself on a trajectory toward leadership, but I was a politician, and I'd come into an existing culture that I found pretty hard. In New Zealand, we have Westminster-style debate, with heckling and yelling, all that noise and ruckus, whilst trying to stay focused on delivering an answer. It can get personal, but you're in opposition. Success is often measured by how many other politician careers you end. And that never sat comfortably with me. I remember thinking, if that's not the kind of politics I'll engage in, I probably won't be seen as successful. But then I said, that's okay. Making peace with it was a way of deciding to do things on my own terms and see where it led. 2 key takeaways from the article. 1. The daughter of a policeman, Audryn grew up interested in public service but wary about the blood sport of New Zealand politics. Eventually, though, she found the courage to run for parliament, party leadership, and finally Prime Minister. From 2017 to 2023, she led her country's response to crises including a bovine disease outbreak, a mass shooting, floods, wildfires, and COVID-19. Her new memoir is A Different Kind of Power. The article carries the excerpts from her interview with Alison. 2. Are there any overarching leadership lessons that you took away from all your crisis management experiences? We have this notion that confidence in leadership comes through having all the answers all the time. We are trusted because we show no shred of doubt. But I think in any crisis, trust is built by being open about information and knowledge gaps. COVID was an obvious example. The whole world was grappling with this new illness, and if we had all known what to do, we all would have had the same plan, I imagine. But sharing with people everything we knew and everything we didn't became a tool to build trust and confidence. I think leaders should be transparent in those moments.
Disengaged and drained. 5 leadership moves that actually work in 2025. Written by Dr. Nadia Zengbevieva. Published by Forbes magazine on July 29, 2025. Once upon a time, disengagement was a warning sign. Today, it's the default. According to Gallup's State of the Global Workplace 2025 report, a staggering 79% of employees worldwide are not engaged, with 17% actively disengaged, meaning they are not just checked out, they are actively working against company goals. This isn't just about morale. The cost of disengagement for a median S&P 500 company is estimated between 228 million US million dollar and 355 US million dollar annually, or up to 1.8 billion dollar over 5 years. And it's not just employees who are suffering. Managers experience the sharpest engagement drop of all. That's a leadership emergency. But there is a good news. Some organizations are not only staying afloat, they are thriving. What sets them apart isn't a better wellness app or a more persuasive vision statement. It's reinvention. Here are 5 leadership moves that are delivering real results, increasing engagement, reducing burnout, and building true resilience in a world that's not slowing down. 1. Rewrite the psychological contract. Employees today are not just burned out, they are disillusioned. The old contract, help us through this change and then things will stabilize, no longer holds. In a world of constant turbulence, employees need honesty, alignment, and a new deal. That means making reinvention part of everyone's job, not a separate initiative. Creating safe spaces for dialogue, dedicating time to trend watching. 2. Shift from resistance to reinvention mindset. When people view change as a threat, they brace for impact. But when they see change as normal and potentially exciting, they lean in. Leadership move. Incorporate one simple mindset reset exercise each week. Use it to reframe uncertainty from threat to opportunity. Over time, this creates a culture that does not just endure change, it grows from it. 3. Elevate managers as culture multipliers. Gallup's 2025 report shows a worrying trend. Managers are more disengaged than ever, dragging team down with them. And yet these same managers are the single most powerful influence on team morale, performance, and retention. The fix isn't micromanagement, it's elevation. Your managers need tools, trust, and time to be what the author called cultural multipliers, people who don't just cascade KPIs, but embody reinvention and lead by example. Leadership move. Invest in managers as the frontline reinvention agents. Give them autonomy to adapt processes and emotional support to lead through exhaustion. 4. Make reinvention a daily habit, not a year-end initiative. Too many organizations still treat strategy, innovation, and change as 3 different departments. In reality, they are one system, and that system needs to move continuously. Whether it's through agile strategy sprints, weeklies, what's shifting, team huddles, or regular product kill session, the goal is to normalize the act of letting go and starting fresh. 3. Design energy-rich workflows, not just efficient ones. We often think of productivity as a time issue, but today it's an energy issue. Disengaged teams are not always overwhelmed, they are under-inspired. The best performing leaders work with design energy-rich work environments. Meetings that have purpose or don't exist at all. Workflows that include reflection, not just reaction, and culture where contribution is measured by impact, not just hours. 3 key takeaways from the article. 1. Once upon a time, disengagement was a warning sign. Today, it's the default. According to Gallup's State of the Global Workplace 2025 report, a staggering 79% of employees worldwide are not engaged, with 17% actively disengaged, meaning they are not just checked out, they are actively working against company goals. Two, but some organizations are not only staying afloat, they are thriving. What sets them apart isn't a better wellness app or a more persuasive vision statement, it's reinvention. Three, five leadership moves that are delivering real results. Rewrite the psychological contract, shift from resistance to reinvention mindset, elevate managers as culture multipliers, make reinvention a daily habit, not a year end initiative, and design energy rich workflow, not just efficient ones.